Have you ever wondered how civilization, 5,000 years ago, could shape nearly every part of the world you live in today? At dawn, in the land between the Tigris and Euphrates, fertile fields shimmer beneath the rising sun. Here, in the bustling city of Uruk, life awakens. Smoke rises gently from clay rooftops as merchants fill the crowded streets, exchanging silver pieces and grain for goods. Nearby, a young scribe presses a reed into wet clay, creating wedge-shaped marks, the birth of writing itself. Along a dusty road, wooden wheels turn slowly on carts pulled by oxen, a quiet revolution in motion. In shaded courtyards, women pour golden beer into clay cups, the sunlight catching its froth. From above, Uruk stretches outward walls, temples, markets, and homes alive with voices, footsteps, and stories. This is where the story of civilization begins, in a world both distant and strangely familiar. Flowing between rugged banks, the Tigris carries boats laden with goods, drifting past fields that shimmer with promise. Farmers divert its waters into hand-dug canals, feeding rows of barley that sway gently in the warm breeze. From humble huts of reeds and mud, clusters of homes begin to grow, each one a seed of community. Shepherds guide flocks of sheep and goats across the fields, their bells echoing softly in the air. With every harvest and every trade, these riverside settlements expand, shaping something new, something greater than a village. Stone by stone, wall by wall, the first city-state rise from the plain. What began as scattered farms now becomes a metropolis, a place where human ambition and imagination transform the landscape forever. As villages became cities, the Sumerians reached for something invisible yet powerful: time itself. On dusty courtyards, scholars carved circles in the earth, dividing them not by chance, but into 60 equal parts. This sexagesimal system, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, was born here, long before the first clock ever ticked. Clay tablets mark these symbols, their wedges capturing a rhythm that would echo across ages. With sundials, they followed the movement of shadows, while at night, priests studied the stars, mapping cosmic order onto human life. Even markets depended on this new invention, opening, closing, counting trade with remarkable precision. Farmers planted and harvested not by guesswork, but by measured cycles of seasons. From rocket launches to countdown timers, from digital watches to fitness apps, our lives still pulse to the ancient heartbeat of Sumerian time. From measuring time, the Sumerians turned to something even more enduring: the written word. On soft clay tablets, merchants pressed marks with a reed stylus, recording trade in barley, silver, and wool. These early cuneiform symbols began as simple pictures, yet soon transformed into a complex script, the world's first true writing system. In crowded marketplaces, contracts were sealed not by memory, but by lines etched in clay, binding farmers, craftsmen, and traders with a permanence never known before. Bureaucrats used writing to track taxes, armies, and temple offerings, building the machinery of an organized state. But it wasn't only numbers and codes. From myths and hymns to epic poetry, stories of gods and kings were pressed into tablets, carrying voices across centuries. Today, every book, every email, every text message owes a silent debt to those first wedge-shaped marks of Sumer. Here, humanity gave thought a body, and memory a form. Yet the genius of Sumer did not stop with writing. Another invention would set the world in motion: the wheel. In humble workshops, potters first discovered its power, spinning clay into perfectly shaped vessels with a speed and precision unmatched by hand. What began as a tool for artisans soon expanded into something far greater. Wheels were fitted to wooden carts, transforming the transport of grain, bricks, and goods across the vast Mesopotamian plains. And when harnessed to horses, they became engines of war, swift chariots that thundered across battlefields, altering the balance of power. Scholars still debate: did the wheel emerge first in Sumer, or did neighboring cultures conceive it independently? The truth may never be certain, but what is clear is that this simple circle reshaped civilization, carrying humanity from clay workshops to the clash of empires. As cities expanded and power concentrated, faith became the foundation of Sumerian life. Rising above the flat horizon, immense ziggurats towered like stairways to the heavens. These colossal structures were not merely temples, but the spiritual and political heart of each city-state. At their altars, smoke curled upward as priests and citizens offered sacrifices, seeking the favor of gods who govern the cycles of harvest, fertility, and fate itself. Ritual was not distant ceremony, it was woven into the rhythm of everyday life. Nearby, scribes and officials sat upon high seats, pressing records of tribute and tax into clay. Farmers arrived with barley and beer, their contributions sustaining the great machine of the city. Yet, even in obligation, there was community. Workers sharing beer from tall jars with reed straws, laughter echoing through narrow streets. Order extended to urban planning itself. Straight roads intersected neatly, lined with mud brick houses that mirrored the discipline of society. Guard patrols circled towering walls, reminders that faith and authority are always safeguarded by vigilance. In Sumer, belief, governance, and daily survival formed a single tapestry woven together under the shadow of the gods. Yet, even towering walls and sacred rituals could not hold a city together without something deeper law. In Sumer, one of humanity's earliest codes emerged, carved not into stone, but pressed into humble clay. The Code of Ur-Nammu, older than Hammurabi's more famous version, sought to bring order through principles of fairness and restitution. In public squares, citizens gathered as officials read aloud these new rules: fines for injuries, penalties for theft, guidance for disputes over land or trade. Justice was no longer left to vengeance or whim. It was written, permanent, and shared. Consider a farmer who toppled another's goats, or neighbors quarreling over fields. The law provided clarity, turning conflict into resolution. For the first time, justice was not just the voice of a king, but a system that could be known by all. Even today, archaeologists cradle these fragile tablets, reminders that the pursuit of fairness, imperfect though it was, began in the dust of Mesopotamia. But laws alone could not nourish the people. For that, Sumerians turned to something far more ancient and universal: beer. Brewed from barley, it was not a luxury, but a daily staple, safer than the rivers they drew from. In earthen jars, grains were soaked, fermented, and transformed into a drink that sustained both body and spirit. Foam bubbled at the surface, a symbol of life itself. Workers received their wages not only in silver or grain, but in measured rations of dear accuracy of refreshment and survival. At feasts, men and women gathered with long straws dipped into great communal vessels. Beer was not just sustenance. It was celebration, a thread that tied families and neighbors together in ritual and joy. So central was this drink that the Sumerians sang to it. The hymn to Ninkasi, etched into clay, is both a recipe and a prayer praising the goddess who pours out the filtered beer for her people. These words, pressed into clay more than 4,000 years ago, echo the artistry of brewers who turned simple barley into liquid culture. Imagine the scene. Music of drums, dancers circling the tables, cups lifted to the heavens in gratitude. Through beer, the divine touched the everyday, and though centuries passed, the tradition endured. From ancient vats to modern breweries, the spirit remains the same. Even today, as workers gather after long hours, or friends raise their glasses in laughter, they unknowingly echo the Sumerians. A golden thread stretches from Ninkasi's hymn to every frothy pour, reminding us that civilization was built not only on laws and cities, but also on the simple joy of sharing a drink. Time moves forward, yet its rhythm carries echoes of the past. From the steady ticking of a watch to messages tapped on a smartphone screen, we are still guided by inventions first kindled in Sumer. Wheels now spin along highways, carrying cars across vast landscapes. Just as carts once rolled through Uruk, skylines of glass and steel rise high. But beneath them lies the same drive that raised the first ziggurats: ambition, imagination, and the desire to build. In modern courts, a judge strikes the gavel, embodying the same quest for justice that Ur-Nammu set into clay. And in bustling bars, glasses of beer cling together, echoing the joy once sung to Ninkasi. Even a single droplet of foam in a modern pint connects us to a story written 4,500 years ago. Students today peer at ancient tablets, archaeologists unveil relics in museums, and we continue to learn how the first civilization still shapes us. From the lands of Mesopotamia to the star-filled skies, the legacy of Sumer endures. They gave us writing, law, the wheel, and a taste for celebration. And perhaps most of all, they gave us a reminder that the roots of our humanity are deeper than we imagine. If this journey inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below with your thoughts and keep the story of Sumer alive with us.